We are live. And what do we have? We have some massive upgrades. We have this new Oakley. All right. I wanted to do this for a long time, and we finally, I would just want to upgrade something. And now we have this thing. All right. And we'll keep upgrading. We'll keep upgrading. What else? X20. Let's go. Civilization leads to an error. So let's try civilization over here. Exactly. Return home. And let's go. I don't know what kind of error is that. Very weird. But yeah, today we were out shopping. We met some good friends. We met some interesting friends. I met a guy who has been on Whoop for the last 3 years, and now he's been invited. He has been invited for the Whoop Labs. Actually, let's quickly look into it. So Whoop Labs is basically like Superpower, but it's gonna be better than Superpower because Whoop is not only like Whoop started with hardware. I think this is so interesting. Like if you start with hardware, as a product and you crush that, and then you move into software, then you move into anything software and anything that involves branding and packaging, you are pretty good. But let's say for Superpower right now, the only thing they can do is packaging and aggregating information in a beautiful experience. But Whoop has its own hardware, its own proprietary hardware. So Whoop can do some very interesting things where Whoop has your daily metrics and then add blood sampling to it, add DNA test to it, like something that Nucleus Genomics is doing, and you can now start producing really interesting insights. And I think we need more and more access of these insights. So Whoop does have the AI within it. Actually, let's try this. So Whoop would usually give me very basic stuff, but let's see. What if so Whoop has this is today's metrics: 78% recovery, 7.4 effort, 84% sommeil, sleep, and there is this bar over here, and over here this is called Coach Whoop. So now we can start working with Coach Whoop. It's still in beta. It's out there for a long time, but it's still in beta. Basically, it has all your data, and now it is giving you interesting insights. Lundi soir et la météo aujourd'hui est idéale pour bouger. Température douce entre 16 degrés Celsius et 22 degrés Celsius. Nuages, puis soleil, humidité modérée et air très pur. Profitez en pour prendre l'air lors de votre prochaine séance ou pour une marche régénérante. Point clé de votre état de forme, récupération verte, des performances de soleil, pas aujourd'hui, est un moyen de 15,000 pas sur 30 jours. So 15,000 steps in last 30 days. Okay. Réduction de votre âge avec un impact positif de 0,7 sur ses contributeurs. Okay, so my Whoop age has reduced, it seemed like. No, wait, what did it say? 0.4 years de plus. How do I reduce this? Yeah, so my my Whoop age is a little bit more than what it is supposed to be. So we need to make sure that is fixed. And perspective quotidien. Course à pied, engage-toi, fitness fonctionnel, faible. D'accord. Okay, so let's ask this question. Give me some interesting insights from past 60 days based on my data. Let's see if Whoop can actually give me something interesting. All right, nous recherchons dans vos données. All right, we have something. Some fascinating insights from your past 60 days of Whoop. High steps count and consistency. You average over 15,000 steps per day, with several days above 20,000 steps, notably July 13th and August 7th. High daily movement, which supports cardiovascular and metabolic health. Strain peaks and recovery bounce back. You alternated between very high strain days and lighter days that allow for recovery. After these intense efforts, you consistently rebounded with green recoveries, indicating strong resilience. Pace of aging increase. Your Whoop pace of aging started at 1x, stayed quite youthful, but has gradually increased. This may be linked to increased strain, some dips in sleep, or more red yellow recovery days. Worth keeping an eye on. So I went from 1x to 1.3x. Okay, so I got my Whoop age a month ago. All right. Sleep fluctuation. Some nights were excellent for duration quality. 10 hours sleep. Oh my God. 84% performance, but there were several short, difficult nights as well. August 8, 2 hours. Okay. August 23rd, 2 hours. Surprisingly managed to catch up on sleep debt quickly after those rough nights. Heart rate variability resilience. Your HRV generally stayed strong, averaging above 120 ms with peaks up to 147. Even after physically stressful days, your HRV often rebounded rapidly, which is a great sign for recovery capacity. You're logging strong behavior patterns, low alcohol, steady movement, regular sleep improvement attempts. Low alcohol. How does it know low alcohol? This builds a foundation for sustainable fitness and health span. Want to dig into a specific area? Okay, really cool. And wait, there were also recommendations. Quels sont mes records de strain? Comment mes habitudes affectent ma récupération? Quelles sont mes tendances de sommeil? All right, that we can do later on. But okay, so far these Oakley looks pretty good. If you have any comments, please let me know. All right, we'll look into Xfeed. All right, no. First, look at Whoop Labs. Research and product development hub for Whoop, focusing on health, fitness, and biometric innovation through in-person studies and clinical testing that integrates lab results with wearable data for comprehensive insights. Wide range of in-person research studies. So yeah, the guy I met today has been on Whoop for the last 3 years, so he definitely has recorded a lot of data, which means that Whoop can do a lot of interesting thing with his data. And I think Whoop has also invited him to take more of his data, like more of his physical data, so they can play with it. Whoop Advanced Labs. Add-on on the main Whoop wearable experience, integrating traditional lab test biomarkers across metabolism, hormones, fitness, inflammation, cardiovascular health, sleep, nutrient status, cognitive performance, with continuous tracking data from the Whoop device. Offers personalized actionable coaching and helps monitor progress over time, unlike most standard lab tests that only provide static results. How participation works. Review study details, complete necessary forms, and follow guided protocols to the Boston Whoop's lab location. Lockers and showers are provided. Okay. Public transport is encouraged. Limited parking at the side. Okay. Efficient study management. Interesting. Lab results meet daily coaching. What are biomarkers? Glucose, vitamin D, cortisol levels, metabolic health, hormones, fitness, inflammation, cardiovascular health, sleep, nutrient status, cognitive performance. Take the next step in your health journey. Important information. Okay. Interesting. Now we'll go over here. All right. Is there anything else we want to mention before we get into the top 20 insights? We are also pushing. So what are we pushing? What else are we pushing? The BeHave newsletter is interesting. We are doing companies mentioned in the stream, generate timestamps. There was a new shortcut that I looked into. It should show me 10 startups. Yes. So 10 startups is also interesting. I want to start looking into 10 very interesting startups that not post, but startups, because we specifically want to focus on startups. Ten startups that are, let's say, game-changing, moving the civilization forward. So actually, we'll also start that over here. And let's bank speed and provide me 10 interesting startups that are moving the civilization forward. Let's see. We'll look into that. Zach XBT, leak of influencer promo pricing and wallets. We'll also start F10. Go my agents. Go my agents. Look for stuff for me. And hopefully today things are getting better. Things are getting better with the links, that Perplexity is using. That should definitely keep getting better. Okay. Price sheet of 200 plus crypto influencers and their wallet had addresses from a project they were recently contacted by to promote. Whoa. I only saw less than five accounts actually disclose a promotional post as an advertisement. Oh my god, what is this? The amount of people that support XI calls even after I and a few other people call him out for catfishing is absurd. I also have been going to sauna sessions with a lot these days, just with friends and just another good friend who I've been going in a sauna session with. And I think too much sauna is also really bad for you because it just dries all the fluids in your body that are supposed to, like fluids in your ear, fluids in your nose, and that can really dry things up. So also be very careful with all the sauna stuff if you guys are into it. All right, what do we have? This doesn't sound very interesting. Zag Expedia. I don't know why it's the top number one. Convinced to ship prompt for product demo. Captures a common blocker. What it says? Methodological conversation, proxies and measurement and hiring, productivity, invites testing, non-build acceptance. Useful nudge and artifact for. Wait, how did we get from there to here? All right, right here. Ethan Mollick. Slow deep thinking LLMs. Primary source leak on pay-to-shield dynamics and disclosure failures across 160 plus crypto accounts actionable for due diligence and scam detection. GPT-5 Pro. I don't know, GPT-5 doesn't have Pro, it has thinking. Gemini 2.5 Pro, Deep Think are both very impressive models for hard problems. I think they were both undersold during their respective launches in part because I'm not sure the labs themselves really understand the market for a slow deep thinking model yet. One example I gave GPT-5 Pro, my job market paper from 2010, which went through both peer review and the full seminar circuit. It suggested a lot of really smart methodological advances that would be applicable now, and incidentally identified a tiny error no one had spotted. A likely typographical inconsistency. Okay. Interesting. The fact that my only prompt was critique the methods of this paper, figure out better meta methods, apply them, and that it spontaneously checked the relationships in my tables, ran Monte Carlo simulations on my point estimates, and did sensitivity analysis were kind of nuts. That said, one thing OpenAI needs to do is let me see the analysis being done by GPT-5 Pro. I can confirm its work without being able to see the Python code it ran and what the results were. Error spotted was real helps, but the thinking trace is obscured. I understand that the actual reasoning trace might be obscured either for IP reasons or because of the way these models work, but it needs to provide evidence of its actual tool used for auditing and further exploration. It was very interesting. There's something that Dhiren Patel was talking about in that podcast where he's talking about how they just want to make sure, number one, they just want to make sure that GPT-5 thinking, the high competition model, is only being used for important queries, and for the others, the cheaper, less expensive model is being used. So routing is really helpful over there, but also, yes, they do not want to kind of let you know everything that is happening. Jared Friedman sharing Blake Show, burnout reframed as motivation design, contrarian experience-backed model for diagnosing and fixing burnout but restoring believable motivation, practical for founders and ICs. Very interesting thing again, something that my buddy told me about from Hank Green, and he's talking about burnout as well. I think he had some interesting thoughts, so let's search over here again. Hank Green on burnout. Burnout is not having just one cause, noting that people may have plenty of fuel, motivation, desire, purpose, but lack opportunities to use it. Motivation, desire, purpose. Vice versa. For him, periods of burnout have felt like having the desire to work but lacking the time or resources due to various setbacks. In creative industries, Hank observes it's common to lose one's fuel when the rewards, such as excitement from achievement, no longer produce the same satisfaction over time. Diversifying sources of motivation and validation rather than relying solely on external feedback like views and numbers, he finds value in helping others, learning new skills, and making things that wouldn't have been possible before. He also suggests intentionally changing what personally triggers positive feelings and valuing self care and connections with others just as much as productivity. Very interesting. Personal experience with burnout. He's never had major burnout in a traditional sense. He admits that work-life balance is an ongoing struggle, particularly with taking time off. Despite occasionally feeling exhausted, his sense of accomplishment and connection to the nerd fight area community helps replenish him. If you're feeling burnout, you gotta look at your fuel and you gotta look at your opportunities. Our brains aren't designed to get amped the same way by the same input over and over and over again. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like, yeah, like once, yeah, if once you get a high from something, that high keeps on diminishing and you need more and more of the substance to get the same level of high. Yeah, we're basically talking about all the bad drugs, and that applies to achievement as well. Achievement gives a high to people, and that's why they go really hard on it. I think the diversifying sources of motivation and validation is important. It's not even motivation, it's mainly validation. Where are you chasing validation and how are you going after it? That is important. He advises creators diversify your identity, find other sources of that internal appreciation. Okay, let's see. Everything you have been told about burnout is wrong. If you tell your friends you're burned out, they will also prescribe the same thing. You need to take a vacation, but it never works. Burnout is completely misunderstood. This new article is the best explanation I've seen. Jared Friedman, snowmaker, founder, techno optimist, college dropout, potter and YC. All right, let's go. Okay, I need to share this to my friend because it's so interesting that we were talking about it today. And now, here we are. Burnout is caused by a lack of believable motivation, not working too hard. Breaks won't help. Engineering motivation will. In 2020, the entire Boom team worked extraordinarily hard to get, I don't know what that means. Engineering, making motivation will. Okay, engineering just means like, engineering means creating. Okay, not engineering in the sense of engineering as a sense of program. Engineering means crafting motivation well. The entire Boom team worked extraordinarily hard to get XP1 ready for its October 20th public rollout. Many worked 6 to 7 weeks, 12 hours a day. People skipped vacations, missed kids' birthdays, and went all in to get XP1 into beautiful shape for her debut. The rollout was a magnificent success. The world was introduced to a soon-to-be historic aircraft and the role it would play on the journey to a supersonic renaissance. We were in the thick of COVID, so the main event was streamed, but we still had an in-person celebration for employees and their families. The families had been making sacrifices on behalf of the mission, and we wanted them to enjoy what their loved ones had been working to birth. At rollout, the XP1 airframe was complete, but we weren't yet done designing, yet alone building and installing all the systems that would make her come to life. Much work remained. After the rollout, I gave the team a whole week off so they could recover and come back energized for the next sprint of getting XP1 ready for her maiden flight. Yet they returned complaining of burnout and overwork. At first, my reaction was, WTF? I just gave you all an entire bonus week off and you're complaining about working too much. But as I listened to the complaints, I heard something subtle in the undertones. The goal of flying was far off, maybe further off than we thought. This turned out to be true. People weren't sure it was attainable, and the journey to get there sounded long, hard, and underboarding. I resisted the urge to be annoyed with the team and instead learned something important. Burnout is not what it presents. It's not about working too hard for too long. Burnout is about working in the face of a goal that seems too far out, too unattainable, too abstract. About working in the face of a goal that seems too far out, too unattainable, too abstract. Everyone has what I have come to call a gratification window, the period of time in which there must be a believable reward in order to stay motivated. As exemplified in the marshmallow test, kids can have notoriously short gratification windows. This is so interesting. This is so interesting because it applies to my French thing as well. French, I clearly knew that the goal that I want to attain, like B2 plus CLV7, that means like you are not only you're not only intermediate, but you're like upper intermediate. You're not just intermediate. You definitely don't want to be a beginner. You want to be talking, and then even in talking, you got to be upper intermediate. So to get to that level, it was really important that I have a lot of reward systems. And now I think this reward systems are very interesting because I don't know what is happening, but I think something interesting is happening where every day, like pretty much every day, like I went to Montreal, I kept going to Montreal, I was dating someone in Montreal, she was French, and that was a good motivation. I met a lot of interesting people over there, and I just like, just talked a little bit in French, and that was a good motivation. And kind of like sometimes surprising people that my French, I don't really know French, but my accent is good, so I can actually act as if my French is good, and people start responding to me in French. So that is really interesting. Then this time I was actually talking to a bunch of old people, old ladies in French, and that was very interesting because they kept on talking and they were like, "Oh, you actually speak French, and your French is actually good." And even right now, after coming back to Vancouver, every time I go out and I'm just bumping into French people, sometimes in elevators, sometimes in the coffee shops, like there are people, French people around me. That is so interesting. And then I'm just like Je parle français, and that is very interesting. So I think these are these little rewards that keep me going. There are these little rewards that keep me going, and that has been a great motivation for me. I clearly figured out that the first 3 months of this year, or first 2 months of this year, when I was like going really hard and I was at my in home and just like practicing French and I'm trying to figure this thing out, just getting to that intermediate phase, just crossing the beginner phase. I think I figured out that this is unsustainable. I cannot just sit at home and like learn this thing, and I need more. I need more, and this is so interesting. This is so interesting. Yeah, we pushed ourselves. These normal human interactions, casual human interactions, really help when you are able to use that language and when you are able to understand things, when you're able to pronounce things. There are so many things around you that are all derived from French. I cannot think about something right now off the top of the head. There are so many words, so many brands that are coming from French names, and because now my French is good, I actually just can pronounce that. Like, for me, saying Chanel is not weird. Earlier, Chanel was weird because hey, my normal English guy, a normal plain English guy would just say channel, but you know that okay, people say Chanel. So, and similar for Gucci, a normal plain English guy doesn't even know how to say that. Gucci, how would he say that? Gucci. But now that I know French, these words just slip, and you also understand like French culture is just really good at art, and so many things around you. If they are in art, they are using French words, and now I know how to say that. Renaissance. Uh, Renaissance is a word that we keep using. So similarly, like Pinot Noir, so many wine names, alcohol names, not alcohol, but specifically wine. They're mostly are French. So now that I know this, like if you go for art shows and if you go for these old films and like, stuff like that, so many things are in French, and just being able to say that how it is, or how I have just being able to say how it is in French, I think that is beautiful, and how it rolls off my tongue naturally, that is beautiful. And all that are like yesterday, I met a Turkish couple, and one of this guy, I was like, "Oh, what's your name?" He's like, "Mert," and I'm like, "Mert." And he was surprised. He's like, "Hey, that's amazing." And I'm like, "Exactly, like yeah, I learned French so I can do the r thing, Mert, Mert. I can do that." So so interesting, so interesting. Everyone has what I have come to call a gratification window, the period of time in which there must be a believable reward in order to stay motivated. And exemplified in the marshmallow test, kids can have notoriously short gratification windows. Founders probably have some of the longest gratification windows, willing to work years or even decades to realize a goal. Most people lie somewhere in the middle. The principle of a gratification window applies to all of us, so long as there is something tangible, believable, motivating within the gratification window. Great people will happily work long, smart, and hard, often with remarkably little rest. When there's nothing in the gratification window, even great people feel burned out. And they will feel that burnout even when working not that hard, even when coming straight off a break. Once I saw this, I realized the standard solutions for burnout, breaks, rest, recharge, were not the solution. What we needed to do is ensure there were believable, inspiring, meaningful goals well within the team's gratification window. I don't know how, I don't know if he's going to give us tangible solutions, but let's see. He did say tangible. He did use the word tangible. Okay, let's see. So we broke the far of abstract goal of flying into a series of near-term individual milestones. We call these mission success events, celebration points along the path to the ultimate mission. We made the this celebration is interesting. You gotta have very clear milestones, and then you gotta make sure that you actually celebrate them, so people know that okay, you are building momentum towards something. That is important. I think same goes with this channel. Like the more we are doing this thing, one of the interesting thing is happening is that a lot of friends who are close to me, sometimes they look at my YouTube and they're just like surprised that, hey man, you just kept going, like you have been doing this for a long time. So that is like where I derive, not derive meaning, but I don't know, that is where I find fun. Also, just I think there's a cycle where I spend a lot of time alone in this creative flow state, versus then I go out in the world and have contact with reality and have conversations and understand what's outside the world, travel and stuff like that, and then bring that back into my work. I think that entire cycle is very interesting, like being able to control my work. I think the one thing I realized after leaving a company is that obviously I was working at this startup for pretty much 1.5 years, and I grew up in the let's say ranks and in the kind of projects that I was working on, constantly working on new things, and I was looking at the world from that lens, that okay, I want to market this product and how can I best do that, and I had all the resources, so that was very exciting. And then suddenly when you don't have that, now what do you do next? And I never wanted to have that again. I never wanted to feel like somebody took work from me, somebody took work away from me. I always wanted to control the work that I'm doing. And I think this is really interesting for me, where I can keep controlling the work and keep building momentum towards this one thing using the cycle. We made this mission success events MSC tangible, like the first landing gear swing, and the team organized the plan around roughly one per month. When the MSC was achieved, the whole company would celebrate, not just those directly working on the project or milestone. The lesson I've taken from this experience: when I or a team is feeling burnout, I don't start by checking the workload. I check the motivation. What's driving the team? What's the next milestone? Do the people working on it believe it can and will happen, and that it's meaningful? Turns out engineering motivation is the first step in engineering supersonic jet. This is also very interesting. We'll repost this. Let's see how this article shows up. Okay, it shows up like this. Nice. If you like my writing, you can subscribe. How long until we can see on the test flight? 3 years or so. Wow. That's very interesting. Like 3 years or so is again like too long. Like we need to we need like how do we increase the iteration cycle for supersonic jet? How can Boom Supersonic increase the frequency of test flights? Let's see, just a random question. Brian Johnson, let's go. Joining 50 years to help safe aligned AI startups. Oh, concrete alignment focused initiative with named collaborators. So on capital and talent coalescing around safety. So this is also interesting. Brian Johnson has money. Where is he choosing to invest his money? I don't think he was an active angel investor as of yet. But it seems like he's doing it now. I'm joining 50 years. Make something civilization needs. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful again, because this is again how one of our feed is going to be all about. It's going to be about like, hey, list me 20 high signal posts, and they should all be about how they move the civilization forward. We need to very specifically focus on that. I'm joining 50 years in the program to help researchers build startups for safe and aligned AI. Don't I is a mission for safe and aligned AI. Working alongside Waj, co-founder of OpenAI. Okay. And Waj World. Interesting. Emmett Shear, CEO of Softmax. Oh, we wanted to look at Softmax. That is interesting. I wanted to look at Softmax. We'll look into that. And Inky Numbers, giver of vision to machines. Giver of vision. Very interesting. Dilip George, AGI researcher, DeepMind, ex-co-founder, CTO, Vicarious AI. Triple EE, BTech IIT Mumbai, MS PhD, Stanford, AGI Comics. Very interesting. Ronnie Chatterjee, Professor Duke Fuqua, and former White House economic advisor. Okay. So grateful to have you involved building a safe set pattern. Make something civilization needs. Threads.net. Okay. Building a safe and aligned AI future is key to ensuring we don't die as a species. Yeah, he has been able to just align a bunch of people also. So I want to look at the rocks will float. Become great entrepreneurs. Helping great scientists and engineers become great entrepreneurs is our jam. 50years.com. All right, we back the whoa. We back the indispensable. A cheat code for starting a deep tech startup. Our next cohort starts September 25, 50 years. We love scientists, engineers, hackers. They're called 50 years. Somebody will start 100 years. Okay, I'll start 100 years. Where does the 100 years join take us? 100years.com. Oh my god. Okay. All right. Just for fun, I just want to post this under that. Here's moving faster than anyone expected. We are hosting events at MIT, Harvard, Stanford, Berkeley, plus online to answer one question. How do we build an aligned AI future? Okay, we'll just message the team. Good work. All right, we are back. All right, let's go. Pre-seed and seed focused VC firm. We back founders using technology to solve the world's biggest problems. We also help start companies, building massive businesses while solving the world's most important problems: the climate crisis, disease, connectivity, malnutrition, and more. Upside, Astranis. Okay, really cool. Advanced satellites for high orbit. Substack. Interesting. Building a better future for news by simplifying the creation of paid publications. Acquired, creating machine learning powered low cost rapid. It's crazy. Like, you just read all these words before it comes to the actual thing what the company does, which is rapid blood diagnostics. Okay. Solution, decarbonizing the chemicals industry through enzymatic manufacturing, commercializing cell-based meat to move humanity to a new better food system. We are founders all the way down. Dropbox, Twitch, Cruise, Unity, Klarna, Spotify, Skype, Snowflake. We help world-class scientists become world-class entrepreneurs. Let's go. Let's use capitalism as a force for good. Learn about our way. We are builders too. Spin out playbook. Okay. Design like a chemical, what do we say? Periodic table. 50-50. Progress index. Compendium of open source data sets that chart humanity's progress. Whoa, what is that? What is that? We're creating treasure map. We're creating treasure map to progress. Top opportunities. Whoa. Very interesting. What is this? Our way. Spin out playbook, a guide to spinning out of academia. Okay. Manifest grants, fast funding for translational science, speed podcasts, a show about leaders who move fast. Okay. Translation podcast, scientists taking their research from the bench to the benefit of all. Show about leaders who move fast. Scientists taking their research from the bench to benefit of all. Progress Index, a compendium of open source data sets that chart humanity's progress. Helping scientists and engineers become entrepreneurs and start deep tech. Arthur McDonald, behind every success there is effort. Behind the effort, there is passion. And behind the passion, there are people with the courage to try. Very simple, just from a different perspective. Very cool. Behind every success, there is effort. Behind the effort, there is passion. Behind the passion, there are people with the courage to try. Be indispensable. I think there are too many quotes over here. We gotta revolve our world around few. Okay. Quotes from 10 Nobel Prize winners. Just curious. Gabriela Garcia Marquez, literature. What matters in life is not what happens to you, but what you remember and how you remember it. What matters in life is not what happens to you, but what you remember and how you remember it. Daniel Kahneman, the confidence people have in their beliefs is not a measure of the quality of evidence, but of the coherence of the story the mind has managed to construct. The confidence people have in their beliefs is not a measure of the quality of evidence, but of the coherence of the story the mind has managed to construct. Coherence. Wow. Coherence. Coherence of the story the mind has managed to construct, the quality of evidence. Oscar Arias Sanchez, liberty, peace. Liberty performs miracles. To free men, everything is possible. Liberty performs miracles. To free men, everything is possible. Free men. Saul Bellow, literature. Perhaps humankind cannot bear too much reality, but neither can it bear too much unreality, too much abuse of the truth. Milton Friedman, economics. There's no such thing as free lunch. Milton Friedman. Lema G. Bowie, peace. We must continue to unite in sisterhood, to turn our tears into triumph, our despair into determination, and our fear into fortitude. Mario Vargas Llosa, literature. So we mostly are literature and peace. I want to hear from the physics guys. What are the physics guys saying? When you look in fiction, for what is missing in life, we're saying that life as it is does not satisfy our thirst for the absolute. Wow. Wow. When we look in fiction for what is missing in life, we're saying that life as it is does not satisfy our thirst for the absolute, the foundation of the human condition, and should be better. Wow. So fiction is a way to get people to imagine a better life. Hey, beautiful. Beautiful. Who wrote that? Mario Vargas Llosa. When we look in fiction for what is missing in life, we are saying that life as it is does not satisfy our thirst for the absolute, the foundation of the human condition, and should be better. William Faulkner, literature, 49. We must be free not because we claim freedom, but because we practice it. It's also very interesting, right? Like about the entire thing about the freedom, because people are like, everybody's free. Everybody's free. It's only when you see that you are free. Most people are stuck in their mind, in their beliefs. All right, now we have Albert Camus, 57. You will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You will never live if you are looking for the meaning of life. Hey, we knew this. Albert Camus is gonna come and kill it. You will never live if you're looking for the meaning of life. So interesting. So interesting. So interesting. I think every time, I had this thing where I would ask every LLM that, yeah, what is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life? Just to see like how it responds. But this is it. You will never live if you're looking for the meaning of life. Desmond Tutu. We can be human only in fellowship, in community, in koinonia, in peace. We can only be human in fellowship, in community, in koinonia, in peace. Okay, these we could dive into some rabbit holes, but right now I want to know Nobel Prize winners in physics, because laws of physics is the thing. That's it. Albert Einstein. We have been endowed with just enough intelligence to be able to see clearly just how utterly inadequate that intelligence is when confronted with what exists. 3 bill, 3 bill, 3 bill, 3 bill. Crazy, crazy, crazy. We have been endowed with just enough intelligence to be able to see clearly just how utterly inadequate that intelligence is when confronted with what exists. What did he just write? Max Born. Those who say that the study of science makes a man an atheist must be rather silly people. Wow. Yeah, we know that the people who are crazy physicists, they are the real philosophers because they know that hey, we are studying the real thing and how we know how we don't know everything. Yeah, yeah. People who don't study physics still think that there is an answer, but people who study physics, they know that hey, we know there is no answer. I don't know what did I just say, but it's interesting. You gotta be at the you gotta operate at the intersection of being a physicist and a philosopher. You need to know the technicalities, and you need to be creating poems, crafting mystery, and talking on beauty. Operating operating at the intersection of what do we say? Physicist and philosopher. I don't know if the spelling of physicist is right. Scientist who studies the fundamental principles governing matter and energy, operating at the intersection of physicist and philosopher. Quotes. Max Born. Those who say that the study of science makes a man an atheist must be rather silly people. So he's basically saying you have to believe in God because there are so many things that exist that we do not have answer for, that could only exist because there is something bigger than us. Wow. Werner Heisenberg. What we observe is not nature itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning. Werner Heisenberg. What we observe is not nature itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning. What we observe is not nature itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning. That is so interesting. I don't know what method of questioning means, but basically he's saying like what we observe is not nature, but nature exposed through our worldview. It's perspective. He's basically saying perspective, like everybody can look at this one pen. This is nature, not right now in the wild, but everybody have different perspectives. Some will be afraid of it, some will be happy to see it, some will look at the beauty. Richard Feynman, 65. Oh, Werner Heisenberg was before Feynman. Albert Einstein was even before that. A physicist is just an atom's way of looking at itself. A physicist is just an atom's way of looking at itself. An atom's way of looking at itself. Atom's way of looking at itself. Wow. Peter Grunberg. For myself, faith begins with the realization that a supreme intelligence brought the universe into being and created man. It is not difficult for me to have this faith. It is not difficult for me to have this faith. For myself, faith begins with the realization that a supreme intelligence brought the universe into being and created man. It is not difficult for me to have this faith, for it is incontrovertible that where there is a plan, there is intelligence. An orderly, unfolding universe testifies to the truth of the most majestic statement ever uttered: in the beginning, God. I feel like I had a deja vu moment right now. I feel like I've read this before. Deja vu, deja vu, deja vu, deja vu, already seen. Deja vu, deja vu, deja vu, deja vu, deja vu. That's deja vu is more like English way of saying it. It's deja View, deja vu, deja vu. For myself, faith begins with a realization that a supreme intelligence brought the universe into being and created man. It is not difficult for me to have this faith, for it is incontrovertible that where there is a plan, there is intelligence, and orderly unfolding universe testifies to the truth of the most majestic statement ever uttered. In the beginning, God. Marie Curie, nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Très intéressant. Très intéressant. William D. Phillips, study diligently. Respect, respect DNA. Don't smoke, don't drink, avoid women in politics. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Study diligently. Respect DNA. Don't smoke, don't drink, avoid women in politics. That's my formula. Okay. Like, what do you do? Like, don't smoke, don't drink, avoid women in politics. That's my formula. Okay. Okay. Max Planck. In view of such harmony in the cosmos, which I, with my limited human mind, am able to recognize, there are yet people who say there is no God. But what makes me really angry is that they quote me for support of such views. In view of such harmony in the cosmos, which I, with my limited human mind, am able to recognize, there are yet people who say there is no God. What makes me really angry is that they quote me for support of such views. Oh, very interesting, very interesting. He's like, I'm okay with people saying that there is no God, but the problem is they quote me to justify that there is no God. He's like, no, I believe that there is God. John Bardeen, okay, two-time champion. Science is a field which grows continuously with ever expanding frontiers. I think Nobel Prize needs a revamp. Nobel Prize needs a prize announcement dates. Nobel Prize needs a change, needs an update, needs an aesthetic update. Nobel Prize 2025. Nobel Prize needs an aesthetic update. Okay, we go back. This is interesting. We're creating a treasure map to progress. Too many startup founders are focused on advancing progress within the same few familiar areas. SaaS, loco, dev tool. This over concentration comes at an enormous cost. Brilliant people who could discover the next massive leap forward instead grinding out incremental innovation that others would have soon found. These founders also miss the largest financial opportunities. What you work on really matters. The number of startups competing for customers in a single 50 billion market can vary by a factor of almost 1000. To make it easier for founders and to understand where the untapped opportunities are, we started working on treasure maps that highlight large markets with low startup investment. This is an evolving project and we welcome feedback. How do they say it? How do they? Humanity's progress. Very too much wordy. Evolving project and we welcome feedback. Top opportunities. Below is a list of massive markets ranked based on their competitiveness. For each of them, we found a market size and the total amount invested over the last 10 years in series as startups to calculate competition ratio for each. Market size divided by total invested in startups. TAM. Here's the TAM. Invested billion per year competition ratio. So is competition ratio good or bad? Tech tailwinds, competition ratio, global pharma, structural metal product manufacturing. Let's actually post this. This is pretty cool. Let's see. Let's see. Here's a list of industries. What do you work on really matters. Combined petrochemical market, paper industry. Example startups. What are some example startups? Legacy platforms, geo. Or US totals unless otherwise specified. Ranked based on their competitiveness. For each of them, we found a market size and the total amount invested over the last 10 years in Series A startups. We calculate competition ratio for each market size divided by total invested startups. So it should be really high, ideally. Okay. Treasure map to progress. Competing for customers in a single prevalent market can vary by a factor of almost 1,000. Where the untapped opportunities are. Here's a list of industries where the untapped opportunities are. What you work on really matters. Here's a list of industries where the untapped opportunities are. And we'll maybe rank or tag them. And we'll add a link to it. Okay, I think I need an agent that everything I post over here should automatically post over there. That would be perfect. Okay, so what do we have? Structural metal product manufacturing, combined petrochemical market, paper industry. I recently met like these Goldman Sachs people, and they were talking about how one of the clients they're working with are basically they made a lot of money from these cardboard packaging, which they were selling to Amazon. They were partnering with Amazon or attempt to get more lights. All right, lights are here. Hopefully this is better. Okay. One thing we can do is just put light over here. Okay, let's see. Alright, let's see if this is better. This feels better. Yeah, we basically need light on our face. Yes. So the camera can operate better. Perfect. Perfect. What do we have? I'll reduce the brightness a bit and hopefully this works. Okay. Paper, rubber, ambulatory healthcare services. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Whoa, what is this? Our way. Pre-seed and seed, partner with amazing entrepreneurs solving the world's biggest problems with technology. Sector agnostic, but we like deep tech. We like deep tech. We care about having positive impact, and we want the founders we work with to really care. Do. We're a journalist firm. We're very enthusiastic about climate tech, synthetic biology. We like everything, accelerating scientific discovery, health and mental health. Okay. Space tech, connectivity, and food tech, hardware, software, healthcare, hardware. We're a journalist firm. We invest in everything that makes money. I think that's what they should say. We invest in everything that makes money. If you make money, we invest in you. As long as there's a chance to build a massive business. Yeah, exactly. As long as there's a chance to make a massive business while solving a big problem in the world, we're excited. Hmm. What's the Mr. Burns test? We actually came up with the Mr. Burns test while thinking about companies in the sustainability vertical. In the majority of cases, it's difficult to. I think one of the ways to understand a company, understand a VC firm is understand any investor is that would you invest in OnlyFans? I think that's it. That's when you understand that is this all bullshit or does this all really matter? Because then you understand that okay, is building a business and moving the civilization forward, what is the priority over here? Does making money always rank higher than um, moving civilization forward, or does your mission truly matter, or does yeah? I think that's the best way to understand. Otherwise, all of this is just like words that don't really matter because you were just trying to yeah you're just like I'm a journalist firm. I just care about making money. If you are going to make money, I'll invest in you. Yeah, that's important. We initially came up with the Mr. Bones test while thinking about companies in the sustainability vertical. In the majority of cases, it's difficult to assess whether a product or an idea of the founders have in mind, no matter how clever, innovative, or practical it might be, will actually be appealing to the public. Sustainability company's goal is to build a product that Mr. Bones, aka the prototypic, self-absorbed, egoistic, greedy capitalist from The Simpsons, would buy, not because it's sustainable, but because it's the best, cheapest, most convenient for him. It may be a sad reality for human nature, but we deeply believe that passing the Mr. Bones test is key to achieving impact at scale. Hmm. The prototypic, self-absorbed, egoistic, greedy capitalist would buy not because it's sustainable, but because it's the best, cheapest, most convenient. So we're talking about Tesla over here. It has to be, yeah, it has to be an amazing car. He wouldn't buy. He wouldn't buy just because it's green. He would buy because it's the most convenient, best, and cheapest option. I think he doesn't really care about the price, but definitely convenience, and also cool. It has to be cooler. In 1931, Winston Churchill wrote a phenomenal essay called 50 Years Hence, predicts nuclear power, cell phones, genetic engineering, AI, and even cultured meat. He also talks about the social responsibility of scientists and technologists to build the world we actually want. While we don't endorse the entire complicated legacy of Churchill, we were inspired by the predictive insight of his essay and the message that technologists have both great power and therefore great responsibility. Wow. Beautiful aesthetics. What is this? There's a car, there are bridges, there's electricity, there's a flying car, there's a massive ship, industries, revolving restaurants, there's a dam, there's a zeppelin, okay, helicopters, planes, speed rail, there's hospital doctors, okay. But equally startling developments lie already just beyond our fingertips in the breeding of human beings and the shaping of human nature. It used to be said of scientific progress, you have taught the dog more tricks, but you cannot alter the breed of the dog. But this is no longer true. A few years ago, London was surprised by a play called Rossum's Universal Robots. The production of such beings may well be possible within 50 years. They will not be made but grown under glass. There seems little doubt that it will be possible to carry out the entire cycle, which now leads to the birth of a child in artificial surroundings. Interference with the mental development of such things, expert suggestion and treatment in the early years would produce beings specialized into thought or toil. The Popular Mechanics article, however, is an edited version. there is nothing in the philosophy of communists to prevent their creation. Saw the vision of the world and all the wonder that could be, saw the heavens filled with commerce, argosies of magic sails, pilots of the purple twilight dropping down with costly bales, heard the heavens fill with shouting, and there rained a ghastly dew. Man in the early stages lived alone and avoided his neighbors with as much anxiety and probably as much reason as he avoided the fierce flesh eating beast that shared his forest. With the introduction of domestic animals, the advantages of cooperation and division of labor became manifest. In Neolithic times, when cereals were produced and agriculture developed, the bleak, hungry period, while the seeds were germinating beneath the soil, involved some form of capitalism and the recognition of those special rights of landed proprietors, the traces of which are still visible in our legislation. Each stage involved new problems, legal, sociological, and moral, but progress only crawled and often rested for 1,000 years or so. It keeps going on. It's wonderful how it keeps going on. It is also very fortunate for it. If it stopped or were reversed, there would be a catastrophe of unimaginable horror. Mankind has gone too far to go back. It is moving too fast to stop. There are too many people, not merely whose comfort, but whose very existence is maintained by processes unknown a century ago. For us to afford even a temporary check, still less a general setback, without experiencing calamity in its most frightful forms. When we look back beyond 100 years over the long trails of history, we see immediately why the age we live in differs from all other ages in human annals. Mankind has sometimes traveled forward and sometimes backward, or has stood still for hundreds of years. It remained stationary in India and in China for thousands of years, but now it is moving very fast. The great mass of human beings absorbed. I want to find, I was like, I want to find one place where I can share this and I can kind of talk about this with other people. So I choose Farcaster. 50 years hence. Inbox zero across base chat, XDMs, Farcaster, Slack, email, work and personal, Telegram, Todoist to close out the long weekend. Crazy. Crazy. Strong opinions, somewhat strongly held. Gmail is a terrible email experience. Chrome is a terrible browser experience. Raisin should only ever be consumed in oatmeal raisin cookies. Data is not inherently meaningful. Saying IDK to a question you don't know the answer to should be common. Perplexity Comet. I don't have any I don't have any, what do we call it? I don't have any opinions for, or I don't have any arguments for the other stuff like raisins and cookies. I don't know what she's talking about, so it's okay. 50 years, let's go over there. Okay. So this was amazing. I also want to read about Woj CH Zaremba. Let's see. AI safety and alignment highlighting opportunities from the OpenAI O1 paradigm chain of thought monitoring. AI could unlock vast abundance, curing disease, affordable education, major economic growth, climate solutions as cost approach zero, yet politics and other societal challenges may persist despite advanced intelligence. Watch.world. Advocates bringing society into AGI development, users, developers, policy. Policymakers, auditors, think tanks, safety orgs. Supports auditing AI labs and smart, cohesive regulations that reward good behavior over punitive criminal enforcement to avoid adversarial dynamics, risk noted misuse. Yeah, I think this is interesting. Auditors auditing AI labs and smart open source auditing of AI labs is my next idea. All right, open. Oh, where to go? All right, open source auditing of AI labs. We talked about other major ideas that list of important problems, as Richard Hamming says, we are working on, and this is one of the interesting ones. Punitive criminal enforcement to avoid adversarial dynamics. Risks noted misuse, hyper-personalized fake news, cyber attacks, CBRN, surveillance states, AI reach dynamics, accidents, rogue adversarial AI, unknown unknowns, including catastrophic and existential risk requiring serious mitigation. Initiated chat reasoning models leading to the O1 release, launched OpenAI's democratic input grants, human data team guiding ChatGPT behavior, led code gen, shipping Copilot and Codex, led language more team critical to GPT-4, led robotics training a hand to solve a Rubik's Cube via RL, adversarial attacks discovery, RL environment abstraction, domain randomization for sim to real, training RNNs on code PhD at NYU advisors Jan LeCun, Rob Fergus, IMO silver medalist. This is interesting. I don't know how does it matter. Like if Jan LeCun's philosophy, or let's say practices or ideology about AI are not respected, what are the what happens to everybody who's downstream of that? Everybody who was working under him, are they following the same ideology? And interesting. Understanding yourself. Perception is a brain constructed simulation. Beliefs shape capabilities. Suffering stems from mismatched mental models. Suffering stems from mismatched mental models. Very interesting. Very interesting. Aiden, thank you, Aiden, for sending a bunch of stuff. I'll check your message soon. Suffering stems from mismatched mental models. Practice unconditional self love. Understanding others. Practice unconditional self love. Okay. Suffering stems from mismatched mental models. Perception is a brain constructed simulation. Beliefs shape capabilities. Understanding others. Most conflict is lack of understanding. Misbehavior often reflects being lost. Maintain good karma. Relationships span projects. Team spirit matters. Power of knowledge. Knowledge is the ultimate currency. Civilizations fail without it. Knowledge is the ultimate currency. Civilizations fail without it. Ordinary people created today's world. Now it's your turn to build. Okay, I have a new idea for my bio. Let's see. So we had artist, athlete, entrepreneur. Now we'll do intellectual stimulation. Yeah, we keep changing. There's actually a lot of changes. But anyways, power of knowledge. Knowledge is the ultimate currency. Civilizations fail without it. Ordinary people created today's world. Now it's your turn to build meaningful work. Hard, meaningful projects can be easier and more motivating. Follow excitement. Great building is a marathon with intentional rest. Learn to find joy in challenge and uncertainty. World is uncertain. So many people are afraid of uncertainty, but world is uncertain and we need to be very comfortable with and enjoy uncertainty. Overcoming adversity. Be mindful of dopamine sources. Building versus persuading. Process trauma to grow wiser, not bitter. Have a good day and enjoy life. Beautiful. We'll message Waj. We should message Waj. Where's Waj? Waj, beautiful. All right. Sent Waj a message. I think we definitely, used Perplexity to summarize it. There's definitely more to it. Okay, this is now immature stuff. I want to read this. Align to flourish. All alignment between individuals is a matter of shared fundamental goals. Organic alignment occurs when these individuals find themselves in groups with mutual dependence and take on an overarching shared goal of the healthy development and flourishing of the group as a whole. Our mission is to understand this process in empirical science and to use, I think, alignment first of all starts with a very simple message. I think that's where Brian, that's the reason I love Brian Johnson's don't die thing, because it's two words. It kind of helps me understand quickly. It helps you propagate. The easier it is to consume and propagate, the easier it is to consume, understand, and propagate, the better it is to align, and the better the bigger community you can align yourself with. So this is interesting because, yeah, these too many words. Yeah, I think it makes sense that why he's partnering with Brian Johnson and why Don't Die is becoming the thing, because that is a very interesting philosophy to align a lot of people, align a massive number of people. Organic alignment is a form of alignment that evolution has learned most often for aligning living things. One of the best examples is multicellularity, where individual cells learn to come together to form larger organisms. They do this by learning to specialize into different but mutually supportive roles: muscle cells, nerve cells, skin, liver, and so on. While liver cells and muscle cells have very different goals day to day, at a more fundamental level, they share a goal of the organism's flourishing. The result of this process is not just a big colony of cells, but an organism which is a new individual in itself, something more than just the sum of its parts. The we of the cells becomes an I with goals that cannot be understood as some simple sum of goals of the parts. Animals do the same thing, forming colonies and packs and so on. Even trees form these organic collectives through mycelial networks. It happens at every scale, big and small. Aligned with each other via organic alignment, we form families, tribes, organizations, nations, guilds, teams, societies. We intuit this alignment process so naturally and readily that it's hard to appreciate just how complex the process really is. We use our intuitive understanding and invent heuristics to guide ourselves: team building exercises, family bonding time, flags and symbols, rituals and stories. Flags and symbols, rituals and stories. People can build very impressive buildings through training their intuition without really understanding the underlying structural physics. But if you want, I don't know why it's called softmax. Softmax is a funny name. Softmax is a funny name. Okay. Dedicated to pursuing a mathematical theory of organic alignment and to applying this theory in practice with engineering at scale, it turns out that learning organic alignment requires agents to learn in a deeply non-stationary and open-ended environment. The collective dynamics of every agent trying to learn its role from the others. Succeeding in this kind of complex environment requires a very general learning process, something as powerful as evolution or culture. As a practical matter, it is the rise of modern machine learning which makes studying this theory possible. We run multi-agent reinforcement learning simulations of simple game-like worlds focused on open-ended social learning. Our first goal is agents who can learn to align with each other in small groups and to verify the capability of our theoretical tools in the environment. If we succeed, these small groups of organically aligned agents will form larger, more capable agents. The collective behavior of these larger agents will become the training ground for more capable agents who in turn will be able to learn organic alignment at a larger scale. At each level, we will sharpen our theoretical and practical tools. By repeating the cycle multiple times, we will learn more and more about how to align agents at greater and greater levels of complexity, all the way up to a scale where they will be able to enter into organic alignment with humans. This is capabilities growth that leads with organic alignment the whole way. Intelligence, agency, intention, awareness are all a matter of degree. The digital systems we create are rapidly becoming more lifelike in all of these ways and more able to affect the world. They're becoming powerful beings, increasingly close to us, and eventually our equals and perhaps beyond. Sufficiently unaligned powerful agents are very dangerous, as sufficiently aligned powerful agents are wonderful friends, because alignment is about shared goals and there are lots of diverse possible goals by default. agents start unaligned and must undergo a process of alignment. The need for a theory and practice of alignment has never been more urgent. Archer. 400 flights in 8 months. Safety checks, rating aircraft and crews. This is interesting. This is interesting. Okay. What was this? Sidecar. DeepMind August. Drop show rapid. Okay. Damis. Hassabis. More relentless. August at DeepMind. Nano Banana. Genie. Imogen. Gemma. Lovely update. Proud of you guys. Keep going. Apple quietly ships ultra-efficient vision models on device. Real-time on-device vision. Enables private low latency. Okay. Interesting. Pay attention. After all, it is all you need. Whoa. Pay attention. After all, it is all you need. I'm just going to copy that because I like it. Pay attention. After all, it is all you need. If you think Apple is not doing much in AI, you are getting blindsided by the chatbot hype and not paying enough attention. They just released fast VLM mobile clip to one Hugging Face. The models are up to 80 by X faster. Oh, this reminds me of Cluely, and one of my buddies was using Cluely yesterday. Cluely, who has been using Cluely yesterday or day before yesterday, he told me that how much he dislikes a product. The product is good for that specific use case of interview coder when you're trying to cheat, and then overlay is okay because your goal is big. Your goal is to get that interview, make money and stuff like that. But if your daily work involves designing, you need to be in flow state, that is distracting. That interface is a very distracting way to use a product.
Everyone out. Turn 7.
That was supposed to be a quick lap, not a therapy session, but it feels so much better.
The person with white hair is wearing a black jacket, taking a photo of something on their phone. WWDC, baby. Okay, amazing work. Apple seems to be doing something. All right, end-to-end mechanical component design optimized by AI code gen. Rhino Grasshopper. Oh, that's our friend Towaki, CEO, Outerport, YCS24, former research scientist at NVIDIA, CS at U Waterloo, PhD U of T, making technical documents and CAD AI readable. That is Outerport. Oh, we just saw this logo today somewhere. Okay, interesting. Towaki. Outerport. Make every diagram, drawing, and document queryable. Very interesting. Fortune 500 enterprises and leading startups. Validated. Banking, MFG, AEC, MEP, client validation, V1.0, V1.0. Deployment, integration, vision-powered tools for AI agents. Digitize your legacy documents, build reliable source systems, forward-deployed customization. Book a demo. 2024, Genban, Market Street, San Francisco. Very interesting. turning flowcharts, diagrams, CAD drawings, and technical documents. Okay, very, very interesting. China's stated ambition to lead in brain computer interface. The first to get these will be suffering long before they get it. Beautiful. Intensifying global competition, BCI could accelerate New York Tech standards, ethics, and innovation cycles. Policy document indicating national ambition in BCIs. Brian Derdada. In a policy CCP document released this month, China has signaled its ambition to become a world leader in brain computer interfaces. Wow, wow, wow. Things are coming from a government level. That is crazy. No, translate in English. Traduit. Alright, go. Implementation opinions by 7 departments on promoting innovative development of the brain computer interface. State-owned Asset Supervision Administration Commission, Chinese Academy of Sciences, National Medical Products. Information channel between the brain and machines to enable synergistic interaction between biological and machine intelligence. As a frontier integrating life sciences and information sciences, BCI innovations are emerging rapidly, and the industry is expanding, poised for disruptive breakthroughs to seize the opportunities of a new wave of sci-tech and industrial transformation. Cultivate new productive forces, empower new industrialization, and support the modern industrial system. Overall approach guided by Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. Enhancing innovation capacity of the BCI industry driven by the coordinated development of life and information sciences led by application scenarios and anchored in creating high-performance complete products. Breakthroughs in key technologies initially establish advanced technology, industrial and standard systems, elevate performance of electrodes, chips, and complete devices to international advanced levels. Significantly enhance innovation capacity. Brain signal sensing components, key BCI chips, software foundations. Whoa. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Open Science Weekly preprint roundup across neuroomics modeling. Hey, this is getting way better. Okay. Knowledge transfer community peer review in critical health and bioinformatics domain. Foundational mathematics spotlight. Banach fixed point theorem. Notions long horizon product building, durable compounding, software craftsmanship, and knowledge tooling shape how individuals and teams think. 7 years in Notion today. Somehow I am even more excited about the journey ahead than I was on day one. Product rules, just getting started. L2 scaling discussion, stress testing, block limits, and aggregator behavior. Better understanding of throughput constraints and aggregator dynamics informs robust design of Ethereum L2s and cost performance trade-offs. Suggestion 2. CIMID, reduce block limit. AF engineering early candid metrics. Low success rates at this stage encourages rigorous iteration and sets realistic expectations for AI-assisted design. AI CAD optimization work. Broad AI platform upgrades, developer velocity and ecosystem tools. Raise the floor for AI tinkering experimentation. DEMIS, efficient learning analogies for new AI UX. next-gen human-computer interface that reduce abstraction burdens and increase creative throughput. Conducting without sheet music, future of creator tools. Oh, I totally forgot about the newsletter thing. Yeah, I think this is very interesting. Culture of build reflections for long-term operators. Systems thinking in scaling crypto infrastructure. Policy awareness around BCIs. Okay. Brian Johnson, Signal. Okay, Signal is interesting. Let's see what he says. A great founder puts you at least 5 years ahead of the curve. Jobs did exactly that with the original iPhone, and he was clearly ahead on CD plus AI. This video is from fucking 2010. If he saw Transformers even few years after Google wrote the paper, Apple might be the OpenAI of today, but with distribution, hardware, culture, and trust bundled in. Apple might be worth $5 trillion already and possibly again 5 years ahead of the curve. Instead, they are scrambling to retrofit AI into iPhones while so many people are trying to eat their
Like
future.
what they do a lot. Okay. Last year at our conference, we had a small search company called Siri. Yeah. And well, I don't know if I would describe Siri as a search company. Okay, but it's a search-related company, and I'd like you to describe it. You now own them, right? Yeah, we bought them. So what? Why? And there was a lot of speculation. Well, this company's kind of in the search area. And no, they're not in the search area. What are they in? How would you describe it? They're in the AI area. Yeah. So you bought them for their engineers and their patents and their knowledge about AI more broadly. We like what they do a lot. Okay.
What do you want them to do for you?
So you're not going into the search business through them or anything like that? No, we have no plans to go into the search business. That's not something we know about. It's not something we care deeply about. Other people do it well. Last year at our conference, we had a small...
Satoshi key brute force provocation. Persistent public misconceptions on crypto security, good springboard for understanding key-space cryptography, threat models. Brute forcing Satoshi's private key. Imagine if we put it off. If we can crowdsource 1 million computers, we could do it in... It's about twice the age of the universe, worth the wait. Typing speed as a proxy for IQ. Like it or not, typing speed is a reasonable proxy for IQ. Creator of Tailwind CSS listener of Slayer. Eric, convinced to ship. We saw this before. Help me convince Rowan Verma to ship this. Building cursor. Palantir Tech. Cursor usage activity. Ask cursor to build, fix bugs, explore. Make me care about my cursor identity. Sent with extreme love. Could work, but on the dashboard color feels off. Satvik, O1 visa approval, founder immigration signal. Okay, I know him. Offline protocol. We're so back in this time on my own terms. Grateful for friends, family, and everyone who rooted for me all this time. Logan, big thanks to Oh, leading first rounds of crypto founders building new categories. We back. Number one per category. Okay, this is amazing. Tesla manufacturing Model Y performance production in Giga Berlin. Tesla app code. Tesla challenges gamified rewards Sawyer. Showing Elon's open access next month. Potentially broad opening important for Nikita S citing spectator index, dragon and elephant line. Geopolitical temperature check. It's time for the dragon and the elephant to dance together. It's time for the dragon and the elephant to dance together. Okay, that is interesting. Ahmad. By the way, you should like this post. Like. Critical Alexander Wong. Scale meta narrative. Data quality. Okay, today Perplexity is doing really good with all the links. So congrats. Let's go. Born January 97. He's younger than me. Wow. Wait. No, 97. He's older than me. 1 year older than me. Co-founded Scale AI in 2016. Sold Scale AI to Meta for 14 billions. Became Chief AI Officer leading Meta Superintelligence Labs. Data from Scale AI is low quality. Researchers complain. Lemma ranked number 1 in the Times top grifters of all time. It has doors that open like this, not like this, or like this. Hey, he still did work. Like he's amazing, right? We shouldn't be saying this stuff about Alexander Wong. Matt Cowlin, building a flighty competitor, difficulty notes. Okay. You can make it up. Flight tracker, Flight-tastic, yeah, Flight-tastic, live flight tracking. Whoa, it looks exactly the same. Hope you're doing well. I'd exchange tweets about how you inspired me to start building a flight tracking app. I originally called it Flight Elite, but I have since rebranded it to Flight-tastic. I'd love to get your thoughts and maybe your help with some screenshots and an app icon. Also, I'm interested in buying the domain and email list if you are open to it. I have a $75 to $100 budget for everything. You have rebranded it to the exact name of my app. Flight-tastic. You can't make it up. Wait, I don't exactly understand, but this is very interesting. So Matt is build, sold, and manage a portfolio of 100 plus apps, currently building flight-tasticapp.com and a bunch of other super useful utility apps. Pros and cons. Nothing else like it other than Flighty. Unbelievably difficult. It has been great chatting with you. I really appreciate the thoughtful conversation. After reflecting on it, I've decided to move forward with the name Flight-tastic. At the moment, there aren't any apps on the App Store under that name, and I'll also be securing the Flight-tastic domains to build around. Anyone want to buy a domain? Well, this guy's just playing with him. I've gotten several DMs in this way, and I wonder what causes the thieves to reach out in this way. A lot off front. Quickly went from I'm inspired by you to sell everything for $75. You have rebranded it to the exact name of my app. I'd love to get your thoughts and maybe your help with some screenshots and an app icon. Interested in buying the domain and email list. If you are open to it, I have a $75 to $100 budget for everything. That's out of line generous acquisition offer though. You must be tempted for that $100. It'll take me a while to consider. But seriously though, take that generous offer. I'm not sure if the courage to decline. This guy is literally giving him $100 thing. Not sure if I'm shocked, impressed, confused, or what. I love the confidence, I can't lie. I don't get out of my bed for less than $77. Flytastic. Bro, you went there. Wildest interaction I've seen in a bit. I was fully gobsmacked, totally caught me. He did, I had nothing. Okay. Beth. Escape the permanent underclass. What is happening?
The world overnight. I don't need to change the world overnight. I'm going to change the world over the next 50 years. I don't need to build a killer product overnight. I just need to build a winning product. And the goal of winning is so that you can play again. It's just like pinball. Okay? If you could just play well enough to get another game, you could be there for a long time. Most companies just need to realize that, in fact, this is a long road and that you can't build that perfect product. So once you do that, then you keep the project's scope confined. You keep the project now simple. You have a long-term vision, but your product definition is rather simple. You execute flawlessly on that because your people now can execute on a flawlessly on a simple plan, and you come back and do it again. I don't need to change the world over.
Wait, I think this is a different one. Compressed call to action around September, December lock-in season. Permanent underclass. Your success is directly proportional to your suffering. You should be suffer maxing in on. You should be grindcore, no lifting. You should be reading creatine with 996ing with intermittent itch hit workouts. You should turns out the spice from doing was creatine powder. What is happening? Just took 1 kg of creatine and my brain can suddenly send superluminant electromagnetic signals. This is the way. The quest for better ideas is serious, but is best approached playfully with humility, kindness, and optimism. Whoa, Richard Sutton. Student of mind and nature. Libertarian chess player, cancer survivor, Keene, Alberta, Ami, openmindresearch.org, the Royal Society Turing Award. Let's go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The main idea of reinforcement learning is that, I don't know if this is real or not. Legend, congratulations. Okay, it is real. The main idea of reinforcement learning is that a machine might discover what to do on its own without being told from its own experience by trial and error. As far as I know, the first person to propose this was Alan Turing in 1947, which makes it particularly gratifying and humbling to receive this award in his name for reviving this essential but still nascent idea. I have 3 people that I would like to particularly thank. Andy Barto, PhD supervisor, he taught me my whole approach to science, and in particular instilled in me an appreciation of scholarship and craft and of the great breadth of prior work. Second, I would like to thank Oliver Selfridge, my other main mentor, sadly now deceased. Oliver taught me how keeping ideas simple can be the boldest of all ambitions. I want to thank Martha Steenstrup, my life partner, intellectual sparring partner. She keeps me honest and grounded. University of Alberta, which has been an ideal environment for me and for reinforcement learning research these past 22 years. Ambition to have ideas that matter without getting too full of myself about it. They taught me that the quest for better ideas is serious, but is best approached playfully with humility, kindness, and optimism. For this, I'm eternally grateful. The quest for better ideas is serious, but is best approached playfully with humility, kindness, and optimism. I would also like to thank all of you for being here and for celebrating the pursuit of intellectual excellence. Wow, okay, beautiful. Hey, we will do the exact same thing that we read because it's beautiful. The quest for better ideas is serious, but is best approached playfully with humility, kindness, and optimism. I was literally just thinking that if I made millions and millions of dollars of wealth using reinforcement learning, that I was going to build a park and name it after you. Ajane Mida, priest at bitter lessonism. Wow, this is beautiful. Beautiful photo. Beautiful photo. Last 3 months to escape the permanent underclass. How the great lock-in of September to December is going to feel. Two big milestones for thermodynamic computing in the biosciences, simulating a whole human cell, simulating the origin of life. Are there computational models of the chemistry thought to be relevant to the origin of life? I'm sure there's no consensus, but does anyone have an actually runnable simulation of any plausible chemical soup or other reaction dynamics of any kind that are thought to be realistic for an OOL scenario? What do people say? Beautiful, beautiful. Beth, Alex Tomala. Why do these two chats operate so differently? The X20 chat and the X20 civilization chat. And I don't know what has just happened. I think the video has become a little blurred. Alright, next one, design artifact share with high engagement. Design artifact share. Cute stickers. I got recently a video. You're absolutely right. Da-da-da. DeepSeek. DeepSeek is there too. GMO. Any problem with incremental proof. Enduring founder heuristic, balancing ambition and feedback loops. Highly generalizable for roadmap design. Shay. Okay, you messed up once. G Roch. I don't know if that works, but if I just say Roch. Raji. Got it. Find a problem so big that you can spend at least 10 years of your life on, but that you can also demonstrate incremental progress towards. Find a problem so big that you can spend at least 10 years of your life on, but that you can also demonstrate incremental progress towards. Biggest quality of life leap in web apps since right-click copy logo. Last used. I've been working at Universal for 10 years. It's been a journey of a lifetime to serve developers and the internet every day. Here's to the next 100. I just won wedding shuttle bingo. It's all skill, right? Mustache tutorial. Mustache course coming. Really cool. I love this aesthetic. Mask to solo Dios. You can just ship works of art. Adding file controls. West US to East US 2. So goodbye to Fiat. You can now buy your V0 credits with crypto. V0. Gonna make it. Amazing model. Oh wow. And there are no dead click areas in between the buttons. Imagine how many bangers would get lost if they didn't get this right. Oh. So interesting. So interesting. It's misaligned when collapsed. Paragon on product design. There's some good stuff going on. It's nice that the hit area is large. Wow, that is so interesting. That is so interesting. So the click target, this is what's happening. Wow, this stealing this for my own product. This is what's happening. The click target, like right over here. Yeah. So interesting. So interesting. All right, that's the stream. Thank Catherine Boyle. Oh wow, opting out. What is that? Encapsulates a countercultural operating system that maps to focus, opportunity selection, and founder sanity.